Everyone, welcome back. In this video, we will see the lab session for the module 6, Querying Management Information by using CIM and WMI. So in this video, we will see how we can query information by using WMI commands and CIM commands, and then we'll also see how to invoke methods using the WMI and CIM commands. So first we will see how to query information using the WMI commands. So in this method, we will see some of the scenario. Like first we will see how to query the IP information using the WMI commands, and second we'll see how to query the operating system version, and then we'll see how to query the computer system hardware information. And finally, we'll see the scenario like to query the service information. So I have just opened the PowerShell in the run as administrator mode. So the first scenario is query the IP address. So first, to query the IP address, we need to find out which repository class we have to invoke, so that we can get the IP address using that repository class. So to find out the repository class, we can use get dash WMI object and the namespace. So this is going to be the default namespace /simv2. And if I just hit enter, it will list all the available, the repository class under the default namespace. So from here, we are going to just filter only the class that we want to find the IP address. So here I'm using the where, which is configuration. Okay, and sort the output using name. So here we can see all the the namespace for the which contains the configuration. So the one which we need is Win32. Win32 network adapter configuration. Okay, so using this repository class, we will query the IP information. Get dash WMI object, and the class I'm going to use Win32 network adapter configuration. So if I hit enter, I'll see all the list of DHCP enabled, which is true, false. So I'm going to only filter the IP address which is not enabled the DHCP. So for that, I'm going to use the filter where DHCP enabled equal false. Okay, so there are multiple outputs. So with this, I'm just going to select only the IP address. Okay, so we got the IP address using the WMI command. So in the second scenario, we will find out the OS information. So for that, first we have to find out which repository class we have to use to get the OS information. So for that, we can use the get dash WMI object and the namespace, which is the default namespace list. Here, I'm just going to filter only for the name like operating and sort with the name. So this would list all the the class that contain the word operating. So the wildcard which I'm using star in the front and last. So that means everything and then followed by operating and then again everything. So here the one which we are going to use Win32 operating system. So here using this class we will find out the OS information. Okay, get dash WMI object, class that we are going to use Win32 underscore operating system. To find available the parameter, we can use the get dash member. So this would list all the available parameter that we can use for this class. So here we can see the OS type and the service pack major version and the version. So there are a lot of information. So from this we can just use the version and the service pack major version, and we can also find out okay, the build number. Okay, so get dash WMI object class Win32 operating system. From this I'm going to select version and service pack major version and the build number. Okay, so this is the version and the service pack version and the build number. So the next scenario would be find out the computer system information. So before that we have to find the repository class that represent the computer system info. So for that we'll use the same default namespace using the WMI command, which is root slash CIM v2. So here the name like I'm going to search with the system. Okay, and sort the output by name. So here we can see there are many output that contains the word system. So here we can just choose the one Win32 computer system. Okay, git dash WMI object and the class would be Win32 operate computer system, and I'm going to format list all the properties. Okay, so this is going to be the computer information, the computer name, admin password status, and boot tab. So we can see all the information about the computer, manufacturer, the model, which is a virtual machine, and this is a x64 based PC, and the username who logged in currently. So we can see all the computer information. So if we wanted to, find out the manufacturer, model, and the RAM, we can use the following command. So here I'm going to select manufacturer and model, and to find out the RAM information I'm going to use the hash table here, name equal RAM. Okay, and the expression equal, can use a PS item or dollar underscore total physical memory. Okay, so just closing the brace and hit enter. So the manufacturer is Microsoft Corporation, and the model, which is the virtual machine, and the RAM that is in the virtual machine. This is the size of the RAM that we are using. So the last scenario would be to find out the service information. So before that, let's find out the repository class that represent the service. So we can just find that get dash WMI object and the namespace. Okay, here name like service. Okay, and sort the output using name. Invalid class list. Okay, I'm just missing the dash here. Okay, so here we are seeing there are many outputs, meaning there are multiple, the repository class that contain the word service. So I'm just going to use only the Win32 service. Okay, get dash WMI object class name Win32 service. Okay, so this list all the so it lists in the format list all the surveys. Okay, so to get this output more similar to status and sign in name, we can just use this following command Win32 surveys. Okay, using the filter parameter name like From here, select name, state, and start name. Okay, so all the service name which start with yes, and with that running state and the start name. So using in this command, we can filter the specific command or the way we want to filter it. Okay, so we have seen how to query the IP address and the operating system version information, and the computer system hardware information, and the service information using the WMI commands. Okay, so next we will see how to query the information using CIM commands. Okay, so in this method, we will see some of the scenario like querying the user accounts, and querying the BIOS information, and query the network adapter configuration, and finally user group information. So all these scenario we will see using the CIM commands. So first we'll see the user account. So before that, let's find out the repository class that use the user account. Okay, get dash WMI object namespace where name like user, and sort by name. Okay, here we will be using Win32 user accounts. So here get dash. So for the CIM command, we'll be using get dash CIM instance, and the class name Win32 user account. So we can use the get dash member command to find out the parameter that we can use for this command. So all of these command is available for the user account: name, lockout, the full name, the description. So all this information we can find out. So for example, I'm just going to only use the parameter like for example the caption and the domain and SID and the full name and the name. So I'll be using the table format, the format table, and the property which I have mentioned: caption, domain, SID, full name, and name. Okay, so these are all the user name, and so these are all the caption and the domain, SID, and the full name of that user, and the user ID. So next scenario, we will see the BIOS information. So for that, let's find out the repository class that we can use for the BIOS. So here I'm just going to give BIOS. Okay, so we'll be using Win32 BIOS, which is the repository class. Okay, so get dash CIM instance class name Win32 BIOS. Okay, so this is the BIOS version and the serial number. So all the information we can get using this command. So in the next scenario, we will see how to find the network adapter configuration. So we know the repository class name. We have already used that network adapter configuration in the previous command for the WMI. So we will be using the same one. Get dash CIM instance class name Win32 network adapter configuration. So we can also find out the same one by using the just a wildcard name configuration, and then we can choose this one. Okay, so these are the adapter which configured in this VM. Okay, next we'll find out the network adapter configuration for the remote computer. As we know, we can use the CIM for querying the remote computer as well using the computer name parameter. So we'll use get dash CIM instance and the class name Win32 network adapter configuration, and using the computer name parameter, I'm just specifying the remote computer LAN dash DC1. Okay, so these are the adapter that is configured on the remote computer, which is LAN dash DC1. Okay, so next scenario we'll find out to list the user groups. So to find which repository class that represent the user groups, we can use the following command: namespace list where sort by name. Okay, so here we will be using the Win32 group class to find the groups. So get dash CIM instance and the class name Win32 group. Okay, so these are all the group. On the caption we can see this is on the local groups and these are all on the domain groups. So to find out in the remote computer, we can use the computer name parameter and specify the remote computer. Okay, so these are all from the remote computer, which is the DC. Okay, so in this lab, we have completed both WMI and CIM commands, how we can query some of the scenario that I have shown here. So next we'll see invoking methods. So here we can see how to invoke a CIM method and WMI method. So in the first scenario, we will see, using the CIM command, the CIM method, we will, reboot the remote host, which is LAN-DC1. So to reboot that, we can, use the invoke command, invoke CIM method, and the class name Win32 operating system. I'm specifying the computer name LAN-DC1, and the method that it's going to invoke, which is reboot. Okay, so we see the return value 0 and the remote computer LAN-DC1. Okay, so we see that the LAN-DC1 is getting rebooted. Okay, so now this has been rebooted. Okay, I'm back to the CL1, which is the client machine. Okay, so the next scenario would be invoking the service. Okay, so for example, I'm just going to open the computer management, and under the services, so I'm just selecting the Windows remote management. Okay, so this one we can see the startup type as manual. So let us see, we can just use the WMI method to change the startup type into automatic. So get dash WMI object class. We know the class name Win32 service, and filter using name. So we can also call this service as Win or Okay, here we are going to invoke using the WMI method. So we are going to change start mode into automatic. Okay, so now let's go back to that service. Let me just close it. Okay, so now we can see that it's becoming automatic. Okay, so this is the one, Windows Remote Management. So now it changed it to automatic from manual. Okay, so that's all in this lab session. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.